Let's see now how we can assert that values are null or empty, and also how we can assert that Boolean values are true or false. So here's some more tests to do with our player character. So when we create a new player character here, we get a default generated name here. And this generated name comes from the generateName method, which just picks a random generated name from this list, so we have some fantasy sounding names here, such as Shalnor. So in our test here, we want to check that when we create a new player character, that they should have a default random generated name. So in this case, we want to check that the name property of our player character isn't empty. So here we're using is and applying the not modifier because we're checking for inequality. We're then using the empty property here. So here we're asserting that the string property name is not empty. Let's run this. And it passes. If we were to go into our player character here, and instead set the name to an empty string, if we run the test now, it will fail, because we expected a string not to be empty, but it was in fact empty. So let's just fix that. We can also check to see if a value is null or not null. So here, when we create a new player character, initially the player's nickname is set to a null string. So here our test is asserting that the initial nickname is null. Let's run this, and we can see our test passes. If we wanted to check for not null, we could again apply the not modifier, and our test will now fail, because we're saying the nickname should not be null when it actually is. Let's just fix that. We can also check for Boolean values. So when we create a new player character, we're going to set this isNoob Boolean to true. So we can see here we're setting the isNoob property to true. So if we run this, we can see now that a new player character is assigned the default value of isNoob true. Alternatively, we can use false here to check for a false Boolean value, and of course now this will fail because the value was expected to be false, but was in fact true. Let's just set that back to isTrue, and our test now passes. Let's just check all the tests run, which they do.